What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Friday, October 3rd, 2025, and I have a World War III alert to share with you guys. Right now it is 14:39 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Eastern Europe and from the Caribbean. But before I get into that, I want to show you what our nuclear forces are doing right now. So we currently have a presidential doomsday plane airborne over Texas. We have a nuclear war command and control plane airborne over California. We have a B-52 strategic bomber over Louisiana. And we have a combat sentinel high priority reconnaissance plane over the Midwest. Okay, and this plane is sending intelligence directly to the president and our top generals. Very unusual location for this plane. And earlier this morning, the U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth confirmed that the U.S. conducted another strike on a supposed drug trafficking vessel right off the coast of Venezuela. Now, I want to remind you guys that Venezuela has shut down their entire coastline, okay? So it looks like that was another message to Venezuela. And last night we were tracking everything live. We were hearing the nuclear codes going back to back for probably about 30 minutes. And I think that was because of this strike on the drug boat. And Trump announced this morning via a post on his Truth Social account that he is giving Hamas until 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Sunday, October the 5th, to accept the 20-point comprehensive ceasefire agreement for the Gaza Strip that was presented last week at the White House alongside Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, or else all hell like no one has ever seen before will break out against Hamas. Wow, so huge threats against Hamas coming from Trump. And we have some major breaking news coming in from Ukraine. We're hearing reliable sources saying that Ukraine is preparing a major offensive on Crimea. This was reported by Sky News, citing their sources. This could be either in the form of amphibious landings or a massive attack on the Kerch Bridge. No details about timing or any other details were given, but Sky News' sources indicate preparations for a large-scale operation on Crimea. We know that's one of Putin's red lines. And the Washington Examiner reported yesterday that military planners believe that the forces the U.S. has assembled in the Southern Caribbean are now enough to seize and hold key terrain features and strategic facilities such as ports and airfields in Venezuela. Okay, so we have an invasion force assembled in Puerto Rico. Absolutely insane. And yesterday, the Venezuelan defense minister confirmed that 5 U.S. F-35s flew within 75 kilometers or 46 miles from Venezuela's coastline. And Venezuela has now deployed their S-125 Pachora 2M air defense system. There was some video footage that came out from the Centro Regional Highway connecting Caracas, Aragua, and Carabobo. Unfortunately, I cannot share that footage here on YouTube because they're going to say that it's fake footage, but follow me on Twitter or X. My X handle is @NYPrepper1, and I post all these types of videos over there, things that YouTube does not like. They don't want you guys seeing the truth of what's going on. And the Trump administration told Congress that it considers drug cartels to be terrorist, non-state armed groups, and that the U.S. is now in a formal war with them. This designation lets the military treat suspected cartel smugglers as unlawful combatants, justifying lethal strikes without arrests or trials. Wow, huge news. Okay, so the Venezuelan front, the Caribbean, Latin American front is really escalating. And Zelensky said yesterday that until today, we have only used Ukrainian long-range weapons to strike the Russian Federation. After my meeting with Trump, perhaps we will have something else. And he's referring to Tomahawk missiles and other long-range missiles. And the Wall Street Journal reported yesterday that the U.S. will provide Ukraine with intelligence for long-range missile and drone strikes on Russia's energy infrastructure. The U.S. has also asked NATO allies to contribute additional intelligence, assisting Ukraine in its campaign against Russian oil. The U.S. is also weighing deliveries of Tomahawks and Barracudas and other American-made ground and air-launched missiles that have ranges of around 500 miles or more, senior administration officials said. Okay, so this is huge news, complete 180 from the Trump administration. They're going to be providing Ukraine with intelligence so Ukraine can conduct deep strikes on Russia's oil. Okay, Russia's oil is the lifeblood of their economy, their oil and gas, okay, natural gas and various natural resources, okay, mining. So the U.S. is going to help Ukraine take out Russia's lifeblood, their economical lifeblood. Okay, that's not going to go over too well with Putin, I'm sure. And then also sending Tomahawk missiles and long-range missiles to Ukraine. That is very, very serious. And the Polish newspaper Gazeta Wyborcza is reporting that Russia was preparing terror attacks in Poland, Lithuania, and Germany using drones as well as explosives hidden in tin cans. Interesting. And French President Emmanuel Macron delivered a stark message during the opening of the informal EU summit in Copenhagen yesterday. Macron declared that Europe is now in a state of confrontation with Russia. Wow. And between 5 and 6 large winged unidentified drones measuring up to a meter wide were observed last night over Munich International Airport in southern Germany, resulting in its closure for up to 7 hours and the grounding and diverting of multiple flights to other airports in Europe. Wow. And 15 unidentified drones reportedly flew in a swarm over the Elsenborn-Butgenbach Air Base in eastern Belgium last night before entering German airspace, according to defense officials who spoke with VRT. Wow, okay, so these drones are flying right into NATO airspace every single night over secret air bases, sensitive air bases, okay? And yesterday, Putin gave a big speech in St. Petersburg. He said that Russia knows that someone is preparing nuclear tests and will do the same if they are conducted. He's referring to the U.S., and he also said, we have more weapons that are nuclear than the United States. Okay, so saying that Russia has more nuclear weapons than the U.S. And Putin also claimed that NATO instructors are participating in the war in Ukraine. He said all NATO countries have been waging war against us. Instructors actually participate in the hostilities. Interesting. He also commented on the change of the Department of Defense to the Department of War. He said, this sounds quite a bit aggressive. Ours is the Ministry of Defense. We don't have aggressive intentions against third world countries. Wow. So taking a swipe at Trump. And Putin also said there is no and will be no power in the world that will dictate to everyone what to do. Every power has its limit. And Putin also said if someone has a desire to rival Russia in the military sphere, go for it. Russia proved many times threats to our sovereignty met swift response. Do not provoke us ever. And Putin also said to European leaders, just calm down, sleep quiet, get to grips with your problems. Look at what has been happening on the European streets. And Putin also said, I am not an emperor. I am a president elected by popular vote for a certain term. And the Kremlin spokesman said Russia will respond appropriately to the possible transfer of Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. And the commander of the UK Space Command, Major General Paul Tedman, told the BBC that Russian satellites have been consistently stalking British military satellites in orbit, while ground-based systems in Russia have been attempting to jam UK and NATO satellites on a near-weekly basis, adding that the activity has dramatically increased since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Wow. Okay, so this is huge news. Russian satellites are stalking British satellites, and a couple of weeks ago, the Germans said that Russia was stalking their satellites as well. Okay, so this is extremely concerning. And this video was sponsored by Just In Case Holsters. Guys, you need to get yourself a high-quality holster for your personal defense weapon. And the company I recommend for high-quality leather holsters is Just In Case Holsters. Now, these holsters are made in the USA by a veteran. And the holster that I really love for carrying a firearm in the woods is the Kodiak chest holster. I have one of these for my .357 Magnum, and the leather is really thick, really heavy duty, really beautiful, holds the firearm nicely, and you can draw the weapon very quickly, which is important in a personal defense situation. Now, he has a whole variety of holsters, not just these open carry chest holsters, but if you want to browse around their website, use the link in the description. It's justincaseholsters.com, and I have a special promo code that's going to give you 10% off of all of their products on their website, and the promo code is NYPrepper, and that's also in the description. So justincaseholsters.com. Use the promo code NYPrepper to get 10% off of any leather products on their website. And fears are growing amongst U.S. allies in the Middle East that another round of Israeli airstrikes on Iran could be imminent. This was reported by the Washington Post. And the Taliban has ordered residents of Bagram district to vacate their homes near the Bagram Air Base within a month. So maybe the U.S. is going to be striking Bagram Air Base, or maybe invading it. We know that Trump wants to take it back. And Zelensky warned that Ukraine will strike back at attacks on critical infrastructure, even if that risks blackouts in Moscow. Wow. And Lithuania refuses to reopen the skies on the border with Belarus and has extended air restrictions. The airspace will remain closed until at least December the 1st. The first restrictions were introduced on August 12th of this year on the eve of the Zapad 2025 exercises. Okay, so Lithuania still has their border area closed down to air traffic. Okay. And at a press conference, the Danish Military Intelligence Service stated that there is a high risk of sabotage against the Danish military, and this is coming after all of the drone incursions into Denmark the last week and a half. And NATO is expanding fuel pipelines to Poland and the Baltics. On Friday, October 3rd, a preliminary agreement will be signed between the NATO Defense Investment Division and the Polish pipeline operator PERN regarding the expansion of NATO's Central Europe pipeline system into Poland. CEPS, which was constructed and developed during the Cold War, currently allows NATO to quickly transport jet fuel, gasoline, diesel fuel, and naphtha across Belgium, France, Germany, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. Today's agreement is the beginning of a process to expand the pipeline into both Poland and the Czech Republic, with possible future expansions into the Baltics and other alliance countries in Eastern Europe. So NATO is expanding their pipeline infrastructure into Eastern Europe to be able to quickly deliver fuel to NATO forces in Eastern Europe. That's another sign that NATO is preparing for war with Russia, okay? And Britain scrambled Eurofighter Typhoon fighter jets to intercept an unidentified aircraft that approached British airspace on Tuesday afternoon of this week. And what you're looking at here on the screen are two U.S. aerial refuelers that were moved from Qatar to Crete. And these aerial refuelers are associated with U.S. bombers. Okay, so these refuelers have been used in the past to refuel U.S. bombers on training and combat missions. So potentially this could be preparations for strikes on Hamas. They're moving them closer to Israel. This could be also movement into the European theater due to the situation with Russia, but that is very significant. And over the last 24 hours, we had a lot of U.S. sub-hunter activity in the Baltics. This was yesterday, last night. And then this afternoon, another sub-hunter here right off the coast of Poland and Lithuania. All right, but that's the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back later on tonight, closer to midnight, with some live coverage. So tune in closer to midnight for live coverage. And in the meantime, follow me on Twitter or X. My handle is at NYPrepper1. There's a link in the description down below. I'm trying to build up my X account so I have a backup to YouTube. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP Shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP Shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP Shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video.